Anybody have any questions about last
Definitely
week?
feels like Thursday.
Does it? Good, yeah.
Uh,
And this weather's getting nice. Is it getting nice for you guys?
yeah, definitely.
Cool. It's been so cold here in Georgia. It's been freezing. For me, coming from California to Georgia, it's been really cold. So it's been an adjustment. But now it's sunny outside. The weather's nice. It's feeling like springtime, so things are feeling more normal. Um, yeah, it's going to be a good day today. So for week 10, I put together a list of movements, and these are the movements we've done so far. So just start with 1 week, and I've got the times listed out for you to try. So it'll add up to a minute each movement. So you're going to have 10 minutes total for this challenge. So go ahead and take a look at that. If you have any questions on that, then you can look back at previous weeks, or you can always email me and ask me any questions that you have regarding these. So that's my little challenge for you. Give it 7 weeks. Or I'm sorry, 7 days. Give it 7 days, and then we'll go from there. And if you feel like this is a good place for you, then stay there. Keep going at that one challenge. So next session, we're gonna switch it up, and we're gonna use the support of the wall for a few sessions moving forward. So just want to make sure you guys have that. This is I'll call it our floor practice for now. Floor practice, 10 movement floor practice. So today, going into that, this is knee stack. The yoga name for this is called cow face. I'll show you how to do the hand stretch as well if you'd like to do that. It's a little bit, it's great for the chest, but mostly we're gonna focus on the lower body, and we're gonna focus on the outer hips. And so you've already got that knee to ankle stretch or that movement, then we're gonna add in the knee stack and just go ahead and finish out the hips there with that deep hip opener. So this is going to, again, we're getting on the outside of the hips here. So to do this, I'm just going to take my left leg in front of my right, or vice versa, and you're going to take the feet apart as wide as you can, and then you're going to sit down. So for me personally, if I'm feeling really tight, I'm going to move into my hips a little bit from one side and then the other. Try to create that space. So all of these side body openers that we've done earlier in this series are going to help you be able to sit down more comfortably. And we've got that knee stack or knee to ankle as well. That's also going to help you open up a little bit before we drop down. And my screen might be a little bit dark, but your first measurement is going to be from knee to knee. So from the top bottom, and you might be way up here, that's totally fine. It's going to be from the bottom of the top knee to the top of the bottom knee. So this length right here is your measurement. And then once you get comfortable with that, and you can hold your feet, I want you to start to lift nice and high and start to hinge forward. So that's where our stretching is going to occur more in the lower back area, in the hip area as well. So make sure that you are comfortable and your hips are grounded before you start to hinge forward. And I will explain that as we're doing it. Let me know if that was a little bit too much, too fast, too fast for you. If you have any questions, always just stop me and ask me right away. And nutrition, I really want to talk about today. This is a problem for a lot of people, and I thought it would be good to just address in general, is how do you break out of this kind of series of, I don't want to call it yo-yoing, but it's where you're doing good and then you break and then you eat something like, oh, cookies, or something that it's usually like a time of day, or maybe there's something triggering it, like an emotion or a habit, or energy levels will sometimes trigger this, like the desire to have more energy can sometimes trigger these, I don't know what to call it, these offsets of your routine, of your new healthy routine. So we'll get into that, and we'll get into how to manage those triggers and how to feel satisfied. So your objective for today and for this week is to feel satisfied. So at the end of the day, if you feel satisfied with everything that you've done, and that's the key to, one of the keys to building progress is to make sure you have that, you are satisfied with everything that you've done regarding your nutrition that day, and then you can move on, and then you don't have that lingering, what do you call it? That lingering kind of like self-doubt or kind of like numbed feeling. You know, we don't want that when we're moving into our nutrition. When we make the decision, it's done and we move forward. So managing those triggers and making sure that we feel satisfied every day is a really good component to making progress and building a successful routine. And then spending time in nature because the weather is so nice right now and it's just going to get nicer. So spending time in nature, getting that serotonin boosted up, starting to feel good, and switching it up a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. Can you tell I had coffee today? Definitely did. So we'll start with our movements for today. Diving right in. So just go ahead and get in a nice comfortable position. And we won't spend quite as long on these today because we do have a lot. So I want to make sure that you get the good understanding and then you can spend longer in those stretches when you do this on your own. So get those sit bones down, whatever seated position you're in, as long as you're comfortable. Stack the shoulders over the hips, lift the crown of the head nice and high. Inhale, swoop the arms up. Exhale, turn to the right. Open up the chest. Roll shoulder blades down the spine, gaze behind you. Feel that stretch in the side body. Feel the crown of the head lifting higher and your spine lengthen. And back to center. Inhale, up. Exhale, other side. Lift the crown of the head. Use that hand to support and open up the chest. Gaze behind you, shoulder blades down the back. Good, and back to center. Inhale up. Exhale, right hand drops down. Left hand sweeps nice and high, bending that bottom arm. That top arm reaches over as you open up the chest toward the sky. Look up if it does not bother your neck, but don't strain. So anywhere that's comfortable for you works. As long as you're feeling that stretch in the side body, that hip is rooting down. And back to the other side. So dropping that left hand now, or opposite hand, reaching up nice and high. Inhale, exhale, hinge. Open up the chest, shoulder blade down. So keep those shoulder blades from sneaking up next to the ears. And breathe. Good, and back to center. And go ahead and take the toes in close to you. The knees are gonna come nice and wide. And just dropping forward, reaching out through the back body. Walk the hands over to the right, just real quick, pressing that left hip back. Left hand stacks on top of the right. Breathe here, opening in that side body, opening in the hips, stretch in the low back, and walking to the other side. So before we do those longer holds, get a little bit of movement in your routine. You want to make sure that you have you warmed up a little bit. Not that we're diving into any exercise or anything, but it's good to just feel stretched out, especially if you're just waking up for the day. You want to get a little bit of movement in your system. And now we're going to go into our little series here and really stretch out the body and lengthen us out and get us ready for the day. So inhale, lengthen through the spine, root those hip bones down, reach the arms up nice and high, and hinge forward. And again, you might be able to reach your toes. Your hands might be behind you, kind of supporting. You want to make sure those hip bones are rooted down and your pelvis is tilting forward. So it's all in the pelvis tilt. That's what you want. That's where you're going to find the most length. So when we're rounding the spine, I call this like a superficial length, right? Like you can touch your toes, but it's not, you're not getting the full benefit. You're just stretching one part of your body. So keep it real and keep it the most beneficial and really work on those hips. One more breath here. Good. And come back and shake it out. Bring those legs behind you. And we're coming into our melting heart. So reaching the arms out, the top of the feet are going to come down. Hips are stacked over the knees and drop the chest down. So you're going to mostly feel that in the chest, maybe the shoulders, depending on how tight you are. Maybe you want to use that block or blankets, or maybe you want to sit down into the hips. So as long as you're feeling that opening in the chest, the heart is reaching down. So it's less about getting the forehead down. You want to reach that heart down. And I feel this in the arms here, the shoulders, the chest. You should feel a lengthening in your spine, not like your spine is being crunched. And you want to keep that nice and soft on the neck, so no pain in the neck. Last breath. Go ahead and walk it back up. So sitting down and come into butterfly. So again, get those hip bones down, root down, basically. Bring the heels together, open up the chest here, and then let the knees fall open. And again, if you're having any pain in the knees, go ahead and take those feet forward, see if that helps you out. Otherwise, back out of it. Lift nice and high, inhale, and then exhale, start to hinge. So you're gonna feel that stretch in the groin when you start to fold forward, maybe sooner. And if you'd like more on the outside of the shin, go ahead and open up the feet a little bit like a book. See if that helps you out. If you've done anything to tighten those up, that area up. And breathe. Breath is so important. And when you inhale, lengthen. Exhale, breathe into those tight spaces and envision the body releasing. Last breath. Good. And bringing those knees together. Taking the feet nice and long. We're going into our supine twist. So our laying twist. Take it down one vertebrae at a time, just because we can and it feels good. Bring those knees into the chest. Just start with both knees. Roll it out, rock it out. Pressing that low back down one direction, and then the other. Extending the right leg out. Taking the left leg nice and close to your heart, so hug it in close to your heart. And again, the leg is engaged, but we're not tightening it. We're not forcing it. Pull that knee into the same armpit. So hug it in nice and tight. Feel that hip opening. Now your hip might want to pop up. Try to keep it rooted down the best you can. And then bring that leg all the way over the body, guiding it with the opposite arm toward the ground. Now, try to keep both shoulders down first and then guide that knee down as step two. So step one is shoulder down, two is knee down. And find that link through the spine and the side body. So that twisting motion, let that twisting motion, not a pulling motion, guide you. So this should be a safe, comfortable twisting rotation on the spine. So if you do feel any pain here, ease out of it. Bring that knee up and find a blanket or some kind of support underneath the knee or underneath the shoulder. Go ahead and bring it back. Both knees in. One more time, setting up for the other side. Lengthen that opposite leg. Pulling that knee into the chest, hug it in, big hug. Hugs are good. Gotta love ourselves, right? Extend that leg nice and long. And you should feel a stretch in the opposite hip. So if you're reading down, you should feel that stretch. Maybe not. Maybe if you're super limber, you're not gonna feel it as much, I guess. And if you notice your hips are scooting forward, make sure to bring them back a little bit. Rooting that shoulder down first, and then dropping that knee. And again, since I did cactus arm on one side, I'll do cactus arm on the other. Otherwise, you could extend that arm into a T. So cactus is just 90 degrees on the extended arm. And again, find that rotation in the side body. Feel that stretch. One more breath. Good, and bring it back. Good. And again, both knees into the chest, roll it out one direction and then the other. And make sure you're pressing the low back down. So I used to have a lot of pain when teachers would tell me to do this like years ago. And I'm like, why does my middle back hurt? It's because you should be pressing that low back down. So if you feel any, and I do have a scoliosis, I think some of you know. So if you do have any pain in the back, in the spine, make sure you do not have that. You shouldn't have that at all. Make sure you're pressing that low back down. And if you do, give me a shout and I'll help you fix it. Moving on to the next one. We have our scorpion. Oh, scorpion. So go ahead and turn on over. Extend the arms like an airplane. I don't know why I like saying that. It's fun, right? It's all fun. Take that right hand, press underneath the shoulder. So we'll start by lifting up, pressing underneath that shoulder, then taking that left leg up and back. So again, if you need, you guys see me okay? Here. Yeah, you can see me better now. So if you need to extend the leg a little bit more or take support underneath the foot here, you can. Otherwise, reach down and press through. So we're reaching that knee toward the sky. And you want to make sure that arm behind you is extended out into a T shape. So if it's lower, you're not going to feel the stretch as much. If it's too much for you, if the stretch is too much, you can take it at a 45-degree angle. Otherwise, try to keep it at that 90-degree angle. Good, one more breath. And again, that bottom leg is extended. Go ahead and switch sides. Okay. Extending that opposite arm out, or both arms out. I'm going to look to the opposite side now. Take that left hand, press it underneath, open up the chest first. I'll taking that left leg up and over. And again, scooch those hips forward. You want to make sure you're in somewhat of a straight line. So if you're in this V shape, you're not really getting all the benefits. So make sure you're fully extended here. And depending on where you're tight, you're going to feel it more. Like right now, I'm feeling it more in my traps. That's okay. And go ahead and bring it back down to earth, regrounding, and come on up, press up, little child's pose, and then take it seated. We're going to go into our side bend. No, we're not, just kidding. We're going into our low lunge and then our side bend. So for the low lunge, lizard low lunge, you can start in that down dog if you like. Otherwise, just come into a low lunge right here. Sometimes the down dog is, it's a good stretch on the hamstrings too. So press back, reach the leg, bring it up, and step through. But any way you can get here is fine. Totally works. So go ahead and lift the chest up, square the hips off, that's important, and then scoot that leg over towards the edge of your mat. All right, so scooting it over, finding that length. So your hips are going to want to kind of twist open, try to keep them square the best you can, and then drop down inside of that leg, okay? And breathe here. And again, if you're way up here, totally cool, that works. If you're kind of halfway on a book or a block, that's fine too. And then start to sink down once you're comfortable. So it comes with that breath. So inhale, lengthen, exhale, sink. So use that breath to your advantage. And when you're doing this challenge, when you're working on the breath and your movements, try to match your breath with your intention. So if your intention is to lengthen and sink in, you're going to lengthen through the inhale and then envision that relaxation on the exhale, and tell me how that works for you. That should make a big difference. It makes a big difference, or has made a big difference in my practice. So I just scoot the hips back, switching sides. And again, you can just step forward or go through down dog, reaching back and stepping through. And square off those hips. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sink in. And scooting that foot over to the side, dropping those hands low. Again, using whatever props you need that work for you today. Square off the hips. And sink in. Last breath. So if you know, again, I know I've said this before, if you know that one side is tighter than the other, if it's visible or noticeable, you can spend more time on that side. That's just correcting your imbalances. So be aware of that and go ahead and bring it back down. So now I'm in this kind of half split position. I'm just going to sit down and bring that leg underneath me. So any way you can get into this shape that I'm in right now, where one leg is extended, other leg is nice and close. And I'm going to scoot back to the wall. You don't have to. Sometimes it's nice to have that support. So inhale, lift through the spine. Reach up nice and high. Inhale, exhale, and sink over to one side. And you get to pick the side. It doesn't have to be the same every time. I'm reaching toward my left side. But you can reach toward whatever side you want. And start to sink in. And that sinking happens on that exhale. So be watching for it. And then if you want to reach with that bottom foot and reach toward that leg with your bottom arm, you can. Go ahead and grab it. Good. And the longer you stay here, the more you're going to open up. Go ahead and switch sides. Bring that opposite foot in. Other leg extends nice and long. Good. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sink. And I told you guys I tuck my hand like this. You don't have to. But for me, it helps me to kind of sink in my side body a little bit more. I feel like I get a little bit more intentional hinge on that side body. Lifting up, stacking the shoulders, bringing that shoulder blade down. That top shoulder blade sinking behind you. And last breath. And bring it back up. Coming into our knee stack. So from here, both feet are in front. Ankle is down in front. Other leg is on top. So I'm just taking it up. If you need to twist through the hips here, you can. And then start to stack that knee on top. And then again, this gap will close. I promise it does. Can you tell I've been going to the gym more? Because I'm a little bit tighter than I was when we started here. It's good to have that balance between strength and your flexibility, though. I really do believe so. So they're both very, very important. And mobility. So you want to make sure that we keep all of those. So inhale, lengthen, and as you can see, you'll start to sink down a little bit more. And go ahead and switch sides. So bottom leg now is on the bottom, so my left leg's on the bottom. And inhale, root those sit bones down. Exhale, hinge. So the more activities that you do that would make your legs tighter in this position per se is going to be any kind of sitting activity, squatting, anything that tightens up those hips are going to kind of counteract your, how do I say it? Are going to make it seem like this is a bit more challenging, which is all the reason we need to do it more, actually, to make sure that we continue to have that mobility and flexibility and movement in our body and our muscles aren't locked up, because that's when accidents happen. And switching to cow face or knee stack. Knee stack sounds so much better than cow face, doesn't it? Go ahead and take those feet apart. And again, I told you guys, I press through those hips, reach, reach, side body stretch, and then sit down. And again, your knee can come up high to start, that's okay. And I hold on to my feet sometimes when I'm first starting getting into it because it's just easier to get into for me. And you can twist those hips or pivot those hips, I should say, lengthen and then fold. So breathe here. This one does take a little bit of time to ease into, but it is all that much more sweet when you get there, I promise. And if you'd like to practice the upper body movement, I'm just going to show it to you real quick. And this is a bonus. You're going to reach with the same arm. So whatever leg is on top, that same arm is going to come on top, and then reach with the bottom hand. So you can grab onto, you can just kind of touch the fingers, you can grab onto something, or you can try to interlace the fingers and open up the chest. So really this gives you a stretch through the upper body as well, through the tricep, and it helps you keep your spine long. So since we're focusing on the upper body or the lower body, I'm going to stay here with my feet. My hands on my feet. But up to you if you want that little bonus stretch in there. It's kind of a 2-for-1. And go ahead and switch sides. And we'll get into some big shoulder stretches soon too. So you can thank me later. Go ahead and move through that side body, wiggle it out, and go ahead and sit down. So inhale, find that length. Exhale, fold. And again, if you notice that you need to stay here a little bit longer on one side, you can. I'm gonna go ahead and dig into our nutrition because I think this is really important to talk about. I'm gonna come out of this. Feel free to stay a little bit longer if you want to or need to. And then come out of it when you're ready. So for the nutrition, when we're looking at kind of steering away from these healthy habits that we've created, it's important to kind of think about our behavior and our underlying reasons why. So I want you to kind of determine why you're making some of these choices or changes. And for me in particular, it's usually energy that I'm looking for, right? So I'm like craving these sweets, or not even craving them, I'm just eating them. I want them because I want that energy that comes with it. I feel like, okay, well, I still need to keep going. I need energy. Or maybe you're not getting something that you need in your diet, whether that's some kind of protein, vegetable, some kind of nutritional element that you're not getting can have you reaching for that kind of like quick pick me up, sugary, satisfying thing, right? Another one is emotional eating. So that's a big one, and that takes a little bit longer to kind of break the habit. But it's important to recognize when you are emotionally eating and make a better choice. So for me, it's stress. So if I'm stressed, I'm going to grab something, again, in that same way, that's going to pacify that emotion. So finding these underlying issues and being aware of them, and then trying to either replace them, not necessarily stop them, but we need to replace them with a different habit, whether that's breathing, whether that's movement, maybe that can be going outside in nature. So finding that and fixing it. And then another thing is sometimes we beat ourselves up and we push ourselves to think that we're doing something that's bad when it's not actually really that bad. You know what I mean? So say that you've already switched your good routine. You've switched from sugar to grapes or fruit. That's not so bad, but a lot of times we're too strict with ourselves. So try to find that balance with yourself and that understanding with yourself, so that at the end of the day, you are content and you're satisfied with what you're doing. And then you make that decision and then you move on to the next day, so that there's no underlying negative feeling. So it's very intentional. And then we close that day, and then close that section. The second we eat it, it's gone. We've closed it, and then we're moving on to the next one. So I want you guys to try that. Let me know how it goes, and I will see you. I will see you next week. And message me, email me if you have any questions, especially regarding anything from today's session or the challenge, or anything that wasn't clear enough to you. And I will definitely guide you through that. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Candace.
Bye. Thank you.